Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unlocking the fascinating mechanics of how we speak. We're basing this off of Marco Patricio's excellent presentation for Unit 6 on the phonological process, which is part of the English Phonetics and Phonology course. Whether you're an educator or just a total language nerd, this stuff is an absolute game changer.
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover intelligibility over accent, segmental features, minimal pairs and articulation, supersegmental features, activities by level, and finally, a quick conclusion. Let's just dive right in.
Section 1. Intelligibility over accent, the true goal of pronunciation.
So let's talk about a huge paradigm shift in language education. For the longest time, the focus was kind of stuck on trying to make students sound exactly like native speakers, basically trying to erase their accent. But honestly, that is not the goal at all. The real objective is communication. Intelligibility is simply the state where other people can understand the speaker without making excessive effort. Think about it. A student could memorize the entire dictionary and nail every single complex grammar rule. But if their spoken words require way too much effort for a listener to decode, communication just breaks down. Knowing the vocab is simply not enough if the pronunciation isn't intelligible.
Section 2. Segmental features, the individual sounds.
Right, so now we're zooming way into the micro level to look at the foundational blocks of spoken English. Segmental features are literally just the individual sounds of a language, and they're divided into two main camps, consonants and vowels. Consonants happen when the airflow from your lungs gets partially or completely blocked by your lips, teeth, or tongue. Take the sounds p and b, for instance. Both block air with the lips, right? But here's the kicker. P is voiceless, while b is voiced, meaning your vocal cords actually vibrate. Vowels, on the other hand, flow freely without blocking that air. But man, they can be incredibly tricky, especially for Spanish-speaking learners who might really struggle to catch the difference between English's many short and long vowel sounds.
Section 3. Minimal pairs and articulation. Practical micro-techniques. So how do we actually teach this? Well, let's look at some super practical techniques you can use right in the classroom. One of my absolute favorites is using minimal pairs. These are two words that differ by only one single sound. But, and this is crucial, they have completely different meanings. Just compare the short vowel in ship to the long vowel in sheep. Or notice the voiceless F sound in fan compared to the voiced V in van. Literally, one tiny slip of the tongue changes a boat into a farm animal. Practicing these pairs is incredible for helping learners dramatically improve their listening and their speaking accuracy. Now let's get physical with some direct articulatory practice. To make the th sound, like in the word think, there are two mechanical steps. Step 1, you place the tip of your tongue gently between your upper and lower teeth. Step 2, you release the air without using your voice. It's purely physical. In the classroom, teachers can use mouth diagrams, or even better, have students do a mirror exercise. They literally watch their own lips and tongue in a hand mirror to make sure they're perfectly mimicking those exact steps. Okay, now contrast that with the s sound in the word this. The physical position of your tongue between your teeth, it's exactly the same. But check out step 2. You vibrate the vocal cords while releasing that air. So just that simple vocal cord vibration, turning a voiceless sound into a voiced one, changes the entire phoneme. It's such a tiny mechanical shift, but it has a massive impact on whether or not someone is actually understood. Section 4. Supersegmental features. Rhythm, stress, and intonation. All right, so we're zooming back out from those individual micro sounds to the macro level. We're looking at how these sounds combine to create the actual music, flow, and emotion of spoken English. Supersegmental features are the elements that go beyond individual sounds, things like word stress, sentence stress, rhythm, and intonation. These dictate the meaning and the naturalness of speech. And this is absolutely crucial because a student could pronounce every single consonant and vowel perfectly, but if they mess up these supersegmental features, they can still be completely incomprehensible to a native listener. Let's break this down a bit more, starting with word stress. English is definitely not a flat, robotic language. We give certain syllables way more emphasis. We don't say teacher, we say teacher. We don't say computer, it's computer. If you get the word stress wrong, it can disguise a super common word so thoroughly that the listener won't even recognize it. And the exact same logic applies to entire sentences. Sentence stress is the emphasis we place on the most important words. Take the sentence, she bought a new car. The main verb, the adjective, the noun, those are your content words. They carry the actual meaning of the sentence, so they receive the stress. All the other little words like pronouns and articles, they get unstressed and spoken much faster.
This highlighting effect helps the listener immediately grasp the most important information.
Because English relies on these stresses, it's what we call a stress-timed language. That means the stressed syllables happen at relatively regular intervals, creating a specific rhythm. And there are some really fantastic hands-on ways to teach this. Take the clapping activity. Students physically clap their hands only on the stressed words. I want to go to school. Or there's the rubber band activity, which is just brilliant. You have students stretch a rubber band on the stressed syllables and let it relax on the unstressed ones. Doing these physical actions builds that rhythm directly into their muscle memory.
Next up in our super segmental toolkit is intonation, the rise and fall of your voice's pitch. Notice how we naturally use a rising intonation for yes or no questions. Are you ready? The pitch floats up at the end. Conversely, for statements or information questions, we use a falling intonation. Where do you live? The pitch drops. A really clever way to practice this is to have students physically draw exact arrows on paper while they speak, linking the visual movement with the auditory pitch and the emotional vibe of the sentence.
Section 5. Activities by level. Adapting the phonological process.
Now, it's one thing to know all these phonological concepts, but as an educator, you really have to know how to scale them. Let's look at how this builds across a student's classroom journey. For absolute beginners, it's all about foundations. You lean heavily on visuals, repetition, physical gestures, basic minimal pairs, and short, rhythmic chants. As they progress to the intermediate level, things get more complex. You introduce longer dialogues, role plays, and dedicated sentence stress activities. And finally, for advanced learners, you bring in the real world. Think authentic videos, formal debates, oral presentations, or even having them record their own podcasts so they can self-analyze their pronunciation against native models.
But honestly, no matter what level you're teaching, how you handle errors is critical. Constructive feedback is key. You absolutely cannot interrupt a student after every single mistake. It completely shatters their confidence and ruins the natural flow of their speech. Instead, you need to focus strictly on errors that affect communication, the ones that actually hurt intelligibility. Give them clear examples of how to improve, and as they advance, implement peer assessment. Having students evaluate each other on specific criteria like word stress builds such a supportive, analytical classroom environment.
Section 6. Conclusion. Systematizing pronunciation.
Wow, we have covered a ton of ground today, all the way from individual syllables up to the complex rhythm of full conversations. To sum it all up, systematic phonological instruction is the bridge to student success. It is not about erasing an accent, it's about empowering a learner to be understood clearly and confidently. I want to thank you so much for engaging with this explainer today. But before you go, I'll leave you with this final thought. How will mastering these phonological processes change the way your students connect with the world? Think about the doors that open when communication becomes truly effortless. Until next time, keep learning and keep exploring.